I have a good part of this news and a bad part of this news for you.
Yeah.
Our main headline. The good thing for you is that there's going to be another Superman ongoing book starting in the summer. The bad news for you, and for all of us, is that Dan Slott's coming to DC.
But there also though, who's doing the art?
I mean, it's Albuquerque. I'm not, obviously
okay.
no one's mad about that. And look,
No.
I'm cracking jokes. I don't hate Dan Slott, but I tried like several parts of his Spider-Man run and always just kind of stopped bothering after a few issues. So I'm not excited by Dan Slott doing a Superman book.
I don't think I've ever read anything by Dan Slott.
Okay.
So I'm gonna be open to it. However, reading because this news came up, I mean, I couldn't dodge it on social media, right?
Sure.
But not that thrilled on what the story tends to be about.
Well, let's get into that. So it's about a Kryptonian. So the book's called Superman Unlimited, right? So that's what the new book's going to be. And I guess maybe that's going to be a thing now because we've got Justice League Unlimited. There might be maybe they'll do a few other Unlimited branded books, but it's about a Kryptonian, or sorry, it's about an arms race because a Kryptonian asteroid, a kryptonite asteroid is what I'm trying to say.
A Kryptonian kryptonite asteroid.
A Kryptonian kryptonite meteor thing crashes into the Earth, and apparently an arms race based on kryptonite tech is underway. But I'll read some of this here from the thing. So the greater availability of kryptonite across the DC universe changes the balance of power in the criminal empires of Metropolis and across the globe. Intergang, now under new leadership, is on the rise, with particularly all their foot soldiers carrying at least one clip of kryptonite bullets on them. The asteroid left massive kryptonite deposits to be mined, and it houses unlimited horrors yet to be unpacked. To survive, Superman will need to forge new alliances and new tech and new tactics if he hopes to carry on his quest for truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. It also adds that it's not the only big change to the status quo. The Daily Planet is going to merge with Galaxy Communications, turning the newspaper into a global network that will present new challenges for editor-in-chief Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, and other Planet regulars. So, I mean, I don't mind the base premise of this, which is... like a lot of new kryptonite arrives on Earth, and all the bad guys suddenly can go and get a chunk of it, and that's maybe a new problem to deal with for Superman. That's some interesting ideas there.
So be more careful. My main problem is this happens every decade or so, where we get the influx of kryptonite, and then there'll be stories, and all the kryptonite goes away, or it's along the thing. So again, I'm coming in with an open mind. The main thing that bothers me more is this constant change to the Daily Planet, which I understand from a reality standpoint. Media is completely different anymore, right? And big national newspapers aren't this kind of thing. But again, this is another thing that happens, I feel like, every 5 years or so, where we have this update to the Daily Planet, and then nothing ever sticks. So if it sticks, cool.
I don't see this one sticking. I think when you look at real newspapers that have survived, most of them are just as much their website now as they are the actual newspaper. And it feels like if the Daily Planet just went that route, it's fine. But I get what you're saying, though. I feel like I've read, since probably the turn of the century, I would say, probably at least a dozen arcs where part of the arc is the Daily Planet is going through troubles because newspapers are ancient and they have to adapt to the times. There was a period when it was like a TV station, as much as it was a newspaper, if not more so a TV station. There's been times where they've talked about doing different things to whatever, and there's times when they've been taken over by another company. I mean, that's happened probably at least half a dozen times in the last 20 years.
Or Lex buys it and tries to force them to do the headlines that he wants and all that stuff.
What was that company that bought it during the Johnson action stuff? Because remember, there was like a company trying to take it over during that.
That's right. I
the aliens were behind it. I can't remember what the name was, but yeah. So happens often is the point. So yeah, that part just feels like, it's another one of those for Superman.
So
I guess the question I have though is, Dan Slott going to be better than Williamson? I think he's got a chance. I think he's got a fighting chance of that, but it's also not a name that inspires that much excitement in me. But I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he comes in and says, hey, I've got a great Superman arc or story in me. and it's something different. It's something fresh, even though it doesn't sound that fresh right now. I will say I like it more than like Lois becoming Superwoman and doing stuff like that. That it was at least a bit more appealing in that sense.
One of the quotes I saw from him is that this is not like Superior Superman or Spider-Man type stuff. He goes, "This is a character I've waited my whole life to write."
Oh sure,
right?
Yeah. And
so like I feel like there'll be some freshness at least there. I also thought that about Jason Aaron, and that first Bizarro story left me feeling a little bit empty.
I mean, that's fair, but I've been really enjoying Absolute.
Oh, Superman. Of course. Yeah, but that's an actual fresh take and stuff, right? This feels like Slott wants to play in that Superman sandbox. And if the desire's there, I'm willing to go along, and see at least, 4 or 5 issues, right? Just to see what he's got. So
I highly doubt we'll drop this any quickly, if at all. Yeah. If it's at least a passable amount, we'll probably want to keep up with it just to talk about it. I think what's interesting here is that Superman's getting a third like main ongoing book, which happens obviously from time to time. In fact, there was a time when there was 4 back in the Death of Superman days, of course. It's no surprise why this is happening, obviously, because the movie's coming out. So I think that's why Superman's getting. I mean, Batman doesn't need a reason. Batman can have 7 ongoing books. Superman, I think, to go more than 2 ongoings, there needs to be a reason these days, and I think that's what the reason is. It's because the new movie's coming out. It's a good time to have a Superman #1 out in the shelves. They're going to milk that as much as they can. Yeah. So. Yeah. Makes sense.
And again, fresh blood. It's always nice. You gotta re-up every once in a while. Right? We have the same writers, kicking around. So. Oh yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny just how many people I associated writing for Marvel who are now writing for DC. Yeah. And it's not like the DC writers have all went to Marvel. The ones that have left have just went into indie stuff as opposed to going to Marvel. Interestingly. Although, if nothing else, I will say that this makes me confident. If not this year, then certainly next year when her movie's coming out, we're going to get a Supergirl book. It's like inevitable based on this, I think. Fingers crossed. So we'll see how that goes. So I googled Dan Slott just to see what other books he's read, and the picture that came up is, I've been mistaking this man for Jerry Dugan for years now. Every time there's a picture online of Dan Slott, I was like, oh, that's Jerry Dugan. So now I have to go look up what Jerry Dugan looks like, and because this is the picture that was in my head. Interesting. For that guy, but yeah. So I mean, that was a fun little. I wonder how much of a run he's got in him, and I wonder. He says it won't be like Superior Spider-Man, but that happened very late in he was writing Spider-Man for a long time before he even got to that part. So I wonder what crazy stuff he will get to if they let him write it for 4 years. So, I mean, we'll see. But. I won't say that I'm very neutral. I'm very just in the middle. I'll give it a go. We'll see how it is. But it's not a name that's exciting to me. I mean, as a Superman fan, it is cool to see the Hollywood Reporter make a headline for a new Superman book. So that's real cool. But yeah, again, open minds, open hearts. That's how I'm trying to go into 2025. Yeah. So the other thing here, though, is that issue 1 is going to be May 21st. It's saying here, which I think the solicits we're waiting on are April, so I don't think maybe it'll be in the April solicits as a thing. But what we will get, and the reason why they've announced it soon, is because the April solicits usually have the free comic book day thing, even though that's a little bit into May. And the reason why they've announced it is because there's going to be like a little lead-in story in the free comic book day issue for this. Is one of the 2 main things that are in there, which is coming out on May 3rd. The other thing that's going to be in there, if I'm sure I had that tabbed up somewhere. Did I? I did. Yeah. Or did I just have 2 do the same thing? No, I didn't. Okay. So the other thing is there's going to be a Jeff Lemire story that's doing something with the Absolute Universe. For what did these end up being? Usually 10, 15 pages. These little minis. So that's the other thing that's going to be there. Yeah, Absolute Universe will be a new story from Jeff Lemire, Giuseppe Camuncoli, and Stefano Nisi. Dark forces begin to gather in the shadows, forces that have been waiting for a very long time to shape events and seize control, all while the mysterious figure watches. But who is this powerful new character, and what do they want with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and the rest of the emerging heroes? I think what this says to me is that I think we all kind of said, oh, maybe this summer they'll start their whole
Absolute and regular universe crossover. This says to me that that's not until next year, and that they're just like keeping the fires stoked with the Absolute universe. They're still giving it another year to grow before we get to the crossover stuff, which I think is actually quite smart.
Like they're it's like they're fostering it first before just rushing. I have to say, it feels like Lemire's going to be a bigger architect than I thought, because if they're having him plant these seeds, which is cool because I like Lemire. This mysterious character, right? Keeping an eye on things. It just has Monitor written all over it to me. As a long-standing DC fan, So let's hopefully we're doing new things.
Well, it depends what the perspective is, though, because that's assuming that it's like watching from like that sort of level up on high. If this is a character who's just around in the universe keeping an eye on everyone, then it could be an absolute version of, because a Monitor wouldn't be like a different thing, though, right? Because a Monitor would be a Monitor regardless of what universe they're in. Whereas I am assuming this will be an absolute version of, I don't know,
something.
Yeah, I don't know, Lex or something. I mean, maybe I'm assuming Lex will be in Superman actually, but whatever, someone like that, someone powerful.
Yeah.
Or maybe this will be the reveal here will be like, oh no, this is actually the last Justice League member who's going to put them all together. This will be I know we're getting Absolute Martian Manhunter, but this could, if that wasn't happening, this could be the Martian Manhunter build up to like the Justice League forming or something.
Because who did they mention? They said they mentioned Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman.
And all the other emerging heroes.
Okay.
So my instinct is to say maybe it's not a villain, maybe it's whoever's going to put the team together.
It's a tie,
maybe Amanda Waller is going to turn to be a hero in the Absolute Universe.
Because she's the one that has to coordinate everybody to save it from Darkseid.
Yeah. Unless we've seen her already. Have we seen her already?
I don't think so.
Yeah, unless she was part of the company in Absolute Superman, then I'm forgetting.
Yeah, I think they mentioned Waller.
They might have mentioned her, yeah.
Yeah, shoot.
Oh well, whatever. But that would be.
You know what? It has us talking. It has us talking with excitement, though. So that mission accomplished on that front.
So yeah, Superman Unlimited launching in May. Start of May's Free Comic Book Day, and it's got a special story that's leading into that, as well as whatever the Absolute Universe is going to be doing. It does make me think, though, that the Absolute Universe might get its own event or mini later in the year that spirals out of that, or possibly even just like a Absolute Justice League book, perhaps, rather than a mini. I don't know. But regardless, interesting. I'm more interested in that side than I am the Dan Slott Superman side. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
We did get an early announcement for April as well, though. The Power Company Recharged, coming in April 2025. It's an anthology book that will... they had the anthology book Rise of the Power Company, which is leading to the Power Company Recharged, a 32-page one-shot celebrating DC's black superheroes around April 20th. Not around, on April 20th. I don't know why I said around. They're getting really vague with the release dates. It'll be about the 20th of April. Don't worry about it. But it's written by Brian Edward Hill, which is not surprising, and has art by Kerry Randolph and Aletha Martinez. So it's continuing what those anthology issues were doing. So cool. And we weren't reading those, so I don't suspect we'll read this either, but it's worth mentioning for those who are interested. So
I like that they're keeping it going.
Yeah. And then the other news, which is worth mentioning, is that Diamond filed for bankruptcy this week. So that's a thing. Oh,
how the turns have tabled.
Yeah, it's so wild just how much of a stranglehold they had on the comic book industry just a few years ago, and how everything changed very quickly. Apparently, so David was telling me this, that apparently a lot of shops didn't want to go through the hassle of like going to the new publisher, so they actually still went through Diamond, but Diamond had to order the books from the new publisher, so there were still kind of this middleman. So this has resulted in a lot of shops who were doing that having to finally like go to the publisher directly.
To their own.
Yeah, so that's quite funny.
All I know is, and I talked to the guy that runs my shop, he says, like, when Diamond was in charge of things, there was always delays and this, that, and the other. And since this new company's taken over and it's been a lot easier to order, so far, you're always going to catch a little bit of snags in the chain, but so far it's been so much better. And he's been in the comic book business now for 30 plus years. So, you know, he says it's never been easier, which is always good.
Yeah, it's just kind of wild to see. You know, Diamond finally, because it was just, Diamond were the ones who published comics. Like, from when I started reading, that was who was doing it. There was no one else. So it's just kind of weird how much things have changed. So yeah, and Connor brought up last week, but we got that Ram V's Resurrection Man Quantum Karma coming in April as well. Oh, actually, there was one more thing technically, and I don't think this was supposed to be something they revealed, but there was like a casual reference in an article that Supergirl's like foster parents have been cast, and it just happened to mention, oh, we'll see them first in the Superman movie, and I'm like, I feel like we weren't supposed to know that, but I guess we do.
Cool.
So, if that's like the mid-credit scene, as we get to see like Supergirl before our movie, then that'll be a bit of a shame they spoiled it. But the news is out there.
Cool.